Welcome back to the Retirement Income Show. I'm your host, Wes Wood, and today we're talking about facing your biggest retirement fears. And one of those fears is rising cost of health care. You know, we all look forward to a long and healthy retirement, but the fact is, and you know it, the older you get, the greater the chances of you having to deal with a major medical event. And not only that, but just as you're trying to stay healthy as you're aging, things cost more. Medical expenses cost more doctor's visits, more medical procedures, more prescription drugs, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And it's not surprising then that another one of the scariest retirement questions for most people is, will I be able to have enough money to cover my healthcare expenses? And it's for sure a legitimate concern. You know, an unexpected major medical event is one of the most common causes of financial problems for retirees. Even those with excellent health insurance. A serious health issue can result in hundreds of thousands of dollars in bills. And to make matters worse, healthcare costs increase at a faster and steeper rate than the general rate of inflation. If you look at inflation, in the last 18 years, it's grown on average of 2.2%. But by comparison, healthcare inflation has been running at 5%. That's over 100% more higher than the general rate of inflation. Give you a little illustration on why that could be so scary. You know, the current average cost of full-time in-home nursing care is somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 each year. And if we look at it at a 5% inflation rate, that means in 20 to 30 years, that cost may have risen between $400,000 to $550,000 in 1 year. And once again, even with good insurance and large savings, those kinds of costs can be devastating and disastrous if you're not properly prepared for them. And even if you think you're prepared, you might not still be if you're still investing for growth instead of investing for income. For example, let's say right now you have $2 million in your IRA. With that, you're thinking, hey, that can cover in-home nursing care for probably 10 years. But if your investment allocation isn't geared towards income but still in growth, you may not really have that $2 million waiting on you. That's because when you hit 72 years old, you're forced to take a required minimum distribution. And if your strategy is still based on growth and capital gains instead of income, there's a good chance you'll end up satisfying your RMDs by spending down and liquidating your principal, which can be a very slippery slope. And as a result, by the time you need in-home nursing care, your IRA balance may be down to, say, $600,000. And then once you factor in that 5% healthcare inflation, that 10 years of care you thought you could afford today may only be down to 1 to 2 years by the time you actually need it. And again, all that is scary stuff. So how do you eliminate this common fear? Well, once again, an advisor who specializes in retirement income can help make sure that you have a plan that factors in all these scary contingencies. A plan that helps you avoid common costly mistakes associated with healthcare costs, including spending down your principal. You know, you can get started today, right now, by contacting me at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. Now, let's welcome back David Scranton for one last time. Welcome back, Dave.
Well, thank you, Wes. I'm going to ask you a personal question. I hope you don't mind. When you go into studio there for the show, do they make you wear makeup?
They do not make me wear makeup, Dave.
They do not?
No.
Darn, now I'm jealous. You're that good looking without makeup.
You think I look that good, huh? Well, thank you.
I know, absolutely.
I'm flattered.
So tell me, explain please how investing for income actually helps protect you when it comes to long-term care costs. You touched upon it, but can you go a little further?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you give me a compliment like that, I'll be happy to answer your questions. But yeah, so looking at using your money to pay for long-term care is something that a lot of people kind of forget about. That money needs to be there in the future for you to pay for that expense. Nobody wants to be in a situation where they have very little savings later on in life and they spend down their money very quickly due to long-term care, and they have to depend on things like Medicaid or family to care for them at that point. So we need to think about it early in retirement. meaning we really don't want to spend down hardly any principal, if very possible, early in retirement. It's okay to do it when you're 85 or 90, but if we have the right allocation early in retirement and we're generating enough in the form of interest and dividends to cover our income needs, to cover required distributions, then we can sustain the principal longer. Eventually, the government is going to force us to take out more than our interest and dividends because RMDs do go up every year, but at least we can extend that later on in life. And what that does is it gives us more money down the road to pay for that long-term care expense, so we can essentially help kind of self-insure that need.
So basically you're saying keep the principal intact as long as you can, because at an older age, if you need it to stay in the comfort of your home, then you have it. In a nutshell?
It's just like running out of money in retirement. If you start spending down your principal early, it doesn't seem like much, but it really adds up over time. Good analogy, a 30-year mortgage. Think about it this way. On a 30-year mortgage, you pay the exact same every single month, right, for 30 years. Well, the first few years of that mortgage, you're paying like all interest with just a little bit of principal. But at the end of that mortgage, you're still making the same payment, but now you're paying all principal with just a little bit of interest, and it's paid off. Well, it happens in reverse when you're taking money out of a portfolio, especially when you're taking out principal at the beginning. You got this big, mound of money. You're taking out a lot of interest at the beginning with just a little bit of principal, but towards the end, it's a lot of principal with very little interest, and people are running out of money. And really, we need to try to keep that principal intact for as long as possible.
Yeah, spending principal could be like the silent killer. It's a little bit now makes a big difference long term. And I'm sure your clients are not that much different from mine. And I know in my experience, I've never had one single person when we were establishing their retirement goals who said, my goal is to live in a convalescent home at some point in my life, right?
I have not heard that one of the thousands of people that I've talked to. That's right.
That's right, never at all. And in younger years, at the beginning of retirement, is the biggest cost seems to be prescription drugs, correct?
Definitely. That's where a lot of people are spending a ton of money in retirement, is just on those prescription drugs. Yep.
In the earlier years, yeah. And now you have contacts, you have relationships, because you want to be you're a holistic financial advisor. So you have people that you can refer your clients to when they need help with Medicare supplements, they need help with long-term care insurance. So you can help them overall, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of look at ourselves as retirement advisors, people that help retirees. So we need to have that under our roof, or at least have an ability to get our clients to the right people to make sure that they're well protected. But Dave, I want to say thank you for joining our show today. I'm Wes Wood, the income guy. A big thank you to Davis Grant for joining me today, and a big thank you for watching. If you have any questions about anything we've covered today, please reach out to me at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. So long, and be sure to tune in again next week. Hi, I'm Wesley Wood, host of the Retirement Income Show, and I'm founder and president of Wood Financial Group. And we're a local independent financial services company that specializes in creating custom retirement solutions tailored to meet your particular needs.
Visit retiretv.com to learn how we can help you create a customized retirement portfolio.